Pardon? I don't see how I can get out of here. Do you?
Sorry. Facebook Live with that thing in front of you.
Other than.
So I need to stand by that.
You need to stand right there?
No, I just need to be close to that.
Okay. I can zoom in.
Appreciate everyone being here. I particularly want to thank so many of our city and county mayors who have joined us up here today. As a former mayor, I take great pride in what you do, and I'm so thankful for your partnership in so many ways. You know, in Tennessee, we're in an enviable position right now. Today, we have the lowest tax per person as a percent of income in the country. Lowest tax per person as a percent of income in the country. We have the lowest debt per person in the country. We've continued to make significant investments in K-12 and higher ed because we're so committed to making certain that every child and every Tennessean has an opportunity. With all that, you might have heard we also actually have a surplus. Not a very well kept secret. But I do want to say this. Not every state is in this position. We shouldn't take this for granted. We should be really thoughtful about where we are. With this enviable position, we also have some challenges. We fund our roads and bridges with a gas tax or a diesel tax that, when it was passed, was worth was at 21 cents a gallon. The comptroller's office now says that is worth 11 cents a gallon. What's happened? Well, two things. One, everybody's vehicle gets better mileage. That's really good, but it means you drive for less per mile every mile you drive. Second, as inflation has happened, it's not the gas tax is not affected. It's a cents per gallon tax. The candy bar you bought in 1988 for 50 cents, that now is 80 cents. As that's gone up, the 7% that the state tax has gone up on that as well. The 21 cents on a gallon of gas is the same whether it's $1, $2, $3, or $4. Because of that, we've ended up with challenges, not just in the state's road system, but also in cities and counties. We also have a challenge in this. Despite the fact that we're the lowest tax state for individuals in the country, we're not that for businesses. As a matter of fact, as a percentage of budget and as a percentage of income, we're the third highest when it comes to business taxes. Everybody in here is concerned that Tennessee is the type of place that attracts great jobs. And we can't be in a situation where we're at a competitive disadvantage. With both of those things in mind, we're here today to announce the Improve Act. As a reference, this legislature and this administration has already cut $270 million in ongoing taxes. That's not counting, by the way, the commitment to cut the hall tax later. We've already cut $270 million in ongoing taxes. By the way, the most we can ever find in a prior administration is $60 million out of one administration and legislature. We're proposing today to cut an additional $270 million in taxes, which would bring a total of $540 million in tax cuts from this legislature and this administration, 9 times more than any other administration and legislature we can find in history before. How are we going to do that? We're going to focus on the places that I think we need to cut taxes so that we cannot be at a competitive disadvantage. Our businesses are charged a franchise and excise tax. The excise tax is what businesses pay in their earnings. The franchise tax is what they pay on their businesses' net worth, if you will, or improvements. Unfortunately, we're out of line on that with what we call the single sales factor of how manufacturers get charged that. We want to attract manufacturers to our state. Manufacturers not only bring their jobs, but if you're an auto manufacturer, you bring another 5 jobs for every one that you have. All other manufacturers bring another 3 jobs for every job you add. So they're important to us. We're proposing to go to a single sales factor with manufacturers that will cost the state $113 million in revenue, or think of it as save those taxpayers $113 million. Why are we doing it? We want to be competitive with the states around us. We don't want to be the 3rd highest state when it comes to business taxes. Second, manufacturing is important in Tennessee. We make things here. We always want to be a state that makes things. We have historically been a state that has used manufacturing as a way to provide great blue-collar jobs, provide a way to advance, and we don't want that to change. As I said, suppliers follow manufacturers. An example, we have 3 automobile manufacturers, Nissan, GM, and Volkswagen. We have 914 automobile suppliers. So we want to make certain we're continuing to create those jobs. That is $113 million tax savings for those manufacturers. We also propose to cut the grocery tax from 5% to 4.5% for savings for Tennessee citizens of $55 million. Put in context, we have already cut that tax previously from 5.5% to 5%, which means we will cut the food tax over $100 million while we are in office. We also are going to commit to cut in this year's budget the 1.5% of the hall tax and another 1.5% next year. As you know, legislation was passed to cut the hall tax, but passing that on the floor is very different than actually taking it out of the budget. And we are making the commitment to cut 1.5% this year and 1.5% next year for a total of $102 million. The total of those tax cuts is $270 million for this General Assembly. Again, it'll bring the grand total to $540 million worth of tax cuts since this team of legislature administration has been in office. I would also note that we have actually cut $550 million in ongoing operating expenses out of the budget as well. It's one thing to cut taxes, it's a little harder to cut expenses, but this administration and this legislature has been willing to do that to make certain we can. But we also have to address our future infrastructure needs. We have always paid for roads and bridges by the people who use those roads and bridges. That is really important to remember. It has always been a user fee paid by the people who use them. There have been a lot of suggestions. Well, you have this big surplus. Why don't you use that on your roads? My question would be this. The general fund money is primarily paid for by Tennesseans. Why would we want Tennesseans to pay all the cost for roads that are used by people from all over the country? That doesn't seem fair to me. So we are proposing to maintain our competitive advantage. I tell people all the time that I get a lot of credit sometimes for attracting jobs to Tennessee, and I'd love to tell you it's because I'm such a great salesperson. Secret sales really has nothing to do with me. It's all about where we are on the map. We happen to be in a really good location, and because that manufacturers and distributors want to be in Tennessee because of who we can attract. We don't want to lose that competitive advantage of having a great infrastructure system that attracts manufacturers and other distributors because of where we are on the map. Second, it is time lost for our citizens, and it's vehicle maintenance costs that we have to take into account. That mother that spends an hour and a half driving from here back to back to Rutherford County, or the truck driver that can't get through Lamar Avenue in Shelby County because the road is backed up and it takes him that much longer to deliver his or her product, or the driver who's trying to access one of our businesses in East Tennessee and is delayed from delivering product or delayed in getting to work or church or school. There's a time and a cost involved in that as well. As I said, also the 21 cents has now become 11 cents in real value to us. Our proposal is to increase the road user fee for gasoline by 7 cents a gallon. We would also propose to increase the road user fee for diesel by 12 cents a gallon. We would propose to increase registration fees for cars for $5 and then an incremental amount above that for larger vehicles. For the average citizen, what would it mean? It would mean about $4 a month in increased fuel costs. We would also propose a $100 fee for electric cars who are currently using the roads without paying a gas or diesel tax. We're also going to propose a 3% rental car charge, and then to change the open container law in Tennessee. Right now, Tennessee is one of 13 states that don't have a bill that prohibits an open container of alcohol in the vehicle. Because of that, the federal government basically penalizes us $18 million that we can't use on roads. It has to be spent in other places. We're proposing that we pass an open container law, and that $18 million could stay with roads. We're also proposing that we index that so that we no longer we don't again get so quickly back in the position we're in now with that being tied to the CPI, but with a cap to it, and it would be indexed every 2 years, so that it would increase the way it would move and be indexed the way that other taxes are as well. What's this mean in new revenue to the state? $278 million in new revenue to the state. It will mean 962 projects in all 95 counties. 94% of our backlog projects that will be under construction within 6 years. 52% of those projects are in urban areas, 48% are in rural areas. $78 million will go to counties for their needs. It's in addition to the projects we're talking about. Remember, part of the gas tax and diesel tax goes directly to cities and counties. $78 million will go to counties and $39 million to cities. We're going to change something with this, though. Prior to this, with every cent of gasoline tax, 2% of that actually came back to the general fund. We're proposing that all of this money go to transportation. The general fund won't get any money at all from this increase. We also are proposing to pay back the $120 million that was taken by previous administrations from the transportation budget and put that in, and put into the general fund budget. The general fund budget will pay that $120 million back to the transportation budget, so many of these projects can get off to a quick start. We're also going to propose that there be enabling legislation to allow local municipalities to have a local option for a referendum for a sales tax that would be devoted to transit in their areas. Again, that would be at the local government's option. It would require a referendum, and enabling legislation is required to do that. We are proposing to do that. We have significant needs around transit that have to be addressed in this state, and I think that is the best way to do that. Well, that is the summary of our proposal. I know there have been a lot of people waiting to hear what we had to say. We took a while for a reason. This is serious stuff. How Tennesseans move from home to work, to church, to school is important. What we ask of Tennesseans in terms of what we ask out of their wallet and what we give back to them is important. We wanted a proposal we could literally say we're letting Tennesseans keep more money than ever out of what goes to the general fund while we are still addressing the important infrastructure needs that we have. This doesn't just impact the state, and so I asked 4 other people to come and speak to this as well. First is Shane McFarland. Shane is the mayor of Murfreesboro, and Shane, if hopefully you're here with me somewhere, if you'd come up, squeeze your way up here, I'd appreciate some words. Thank you.
It's my honor to be here today. I represent one of the fastest growing cities, not only in this state, but in the country. We were recently named as the 13th fastest growing city in the United States. When I moved to Murfreesboro in 1992, to put things in perspective, our population was 40,000. Fast forward 25 years, we're at 140,000, and we just completed a study to plan for our next 25 years, and we're going to be much closer to 300,000. So no one can argue that transportation is going to be one of the largest issues that we'll have to continue to deal with in the many years to come. Our infrastructure in our cities is not only important to the quality of life of our residents, but it's also important to small business owners like myself for us to be able to continue to do our daily business. I'm grateful to the governor, I'm grateful to our House delegation, our Senate members for continuing this conversation that they've had over the past many years and coming forward with a meaningful solution that not only is going to be able to continue to make Tennessee grow in business, but also the quality of life that we provide to our residents. So thank you for this opportunity.
Mayor Michael Nesbitt is the longstanding mayor of Smith County. Mayor Nesbitt.
First of all, I want to thank the governor for the opportunity to come and speak to you today. And I am the county mayor in Smith County, a rural county, unlike gentleman before me, where our population is 19,066 people. We have seen a steady increase in expenses within our road department, and we've seen a leveling off of revenue for our highway department. If this gives you an idea, in 2005, Smith County brought in $1,462,000 in revenue for the motor fuel tax. In 2016, $1,566,000. That's only a 6.6% increase in 11 years. The Smith County government, with the foresight of the county commissioners, they have raised the property tax for the highway department from 2 cents to 4 cents to 6 cents to 8 cents. Keeping up with that, that is a 75% increase over the last 14 years. Assist them with their overbearing but I have a job to do as the county mayor of Smith County. I've been fortunate to have served in that capacity. I'm in my 4th term, 15 years, and I feel like that I know what the people in Smith County want and what other people in counties want, especially rural counties. In January of 2015, Smith County Commission resolution in support of a 10-cent gas tax increase. It was sent to our legislators. In January of this month, of this year, 2017, we passed that resolution again. And to give you an idea, we have 24 commissioners. In 2015, all 24 voted for it. And in 2017, 23 voted for it. And the reason the 24th one did not vote for it, he was not present. As the governor has put out his proposal, what it would mean to Smith County would be in the neighborhood of $618,000. What that would mean to us, if we had to raise that money locally, would be 18 cents in property taxes. If a person had a $150,000 home, it would increase their property taxes about $70. If they had a $250,000 home, it would increase their property taxes by about $120. At the gas tax rate that he spoke of 7 cents, if a person purchased 30 gallons a week for 52 weeks, it would cost them approximately $100. If a person had 20 gallons per week, it would cost them about approximately $70. So you can see the cost is close, but putting that burden upon the property taxpayers versus sharing that among all the people that enter into the state of Tennessee is not fair. With the 21.4 cents that the state is currently getting, counties and cities get approximately $250 million of this. The price of gas goes up and down from day to day. We get the same 21.4 cents per gallon as the governor spoke about here today. We still go and we still buy. The increase of the gas tax would benefit all that drive the roads. If you don't drive, you don't have to pay. And even though the cost over the past 15 years has skyrocketed, the revenues we have seen just a flat line of the revenues. In 2002, when I took office, it cost approximately $25,000 to pave a road. Today, it costs $100,000 to $120,000 to pave that same mile of road. Tar and chip roads cost approximately $27,000 to $30,000. Most rural counties, including Smith County, are not really concerned about pavement. We're looking for tar and chip. That's all we want, and we can't even do that sometimes. All right. I have heard a lot about government waste. From what I just heard the governor say, what I've already known about what the state has done, they're doing a lot to cut costs. Counties are doing a lot to cut costs. I can give you an example. In Smith County, we were able to do some refunding of some bond issues and saved our citizens $1.5 million that will come off the citizens sooner than expected to save them and us money. The highway department has cut from 36 employees to 18 employees to recently down to 12 employees, but the cost continues to go up. Highway departments, they come up with creative ways to keep the roads together, and I applaud them for that. I am a conservative, but I am also a realist. I can see the problems that we have. Look closely at our roads, especially the rural county roads. They are deteriorating rapidly. If funds are not increased for counties and cities, we will see a continued deterioration in our roads. I know the difference between a want and a need. We need increased funding for counties and cities. Surpluses could be used, but how long will it last? We need a stable and steady funding source for county road departments. A user tax or a motor fuel tax, that is the way we have paid for our roads, for maintenance and new roads in the past, and not property taxes. Mayors, commissioners, road superintendents are doing the work every day. You don't know until you have walked in their shoes. Not a scare tactic, as some have said, but do we really want to drive on dirt, gravel, or pothole-filled roads? We, as a county, have done our part, and I would ask at this time that the state would help us and do their part. I would ask that you support a resolution to support road funding and increased funding in the state of Tennessee, and thank you for your attention today.
Thinking about just outsourcing the state of the state speech and let these two mayors come in. We also, as I said, place great value in the manufacturers in our state. They provide employment and they're critical to who we want to be. Jack Helmbold is the head of North American operations for Denso Manufacturing Tennessee. Those of you who don't know, they have plants in Blount, McMinn, and Madison County, so they're a large employer. Jack, if you would come up and share with us.
Denso's been doing business in Tennessee since 1988. It was going to start out very small, maybe 1 to 200 people. Over that time, we've had numerous plant expansions at our facilities in Blount and McMinn counties. We currently have 7,500 associates in the state of Tennessee and have had a consistent growth pattern thanks to the support of the state of Tennessee and our local communities, which are very involved in our process and very important to us. The ability to distribute our products efficiently and effectively is critically important to a manufacturer like us. Tennessee is attractive to us for several reasons: a great business climate, a trained workforce, and a great location in the country that allows us to easily reach our customers. That great location would be wasted if we don't have roads and bridges and to expand our plant capacity and are safe and well maintained so that we can distribute our product. We've had several additions to our plants over the years. On several of these occasions, the Department of Transportation's work has enabled us to expand our plant capacity and add more jobs. As a manufacturer with locations across the country and around the world, business tax also matters to us in determining how and where to add employees. We're glad to see Tennessee look at making a change that will encourage growth of companies like ours through a more equitable tax structure. I'm happy today to recognize the special great efforts of Governor Haslam and the state of Tennessee to support companies who invest in manufacturing here. Thank you.
Important also to hear from the folks who use our roads the most and on a professional basis. Waylon Thompson is the chairman of the Tennessee Trucking Association, but he also is with First Fleet at Murfreesboro, another one of our large employers. And Waylon, we appreciate it if you come share some words.
Proud to be here and glad to present our case a little bit to the audience here. What we've seen on the first rush here, and what I've heard, is a way to make our infrastructure in the state of Tennessee more fluid. As we go up down the road in Tennessee and across the U.S., if we get congestion, and there's an interesting study that's brought out in the U.S. about the top 100 congestion sites in the United States. 3 of those are here in Tennessee: East Tennessee, Chattanooga, West Tennessee, and Memphis, and Nashville, Tennessee. So from a productive standpoint, from a Tennessee Trucking Association, we need to get through these congestion areas, and we've got to do something to invest in that area. So we like the pay-as-you-go program that Tennessee has, and it makes it fluid for us and everyone in the state to get to and from work, and the way we try to make a living up and down the road. So today is the first step in improving the infrastructure funding for the long term, and for our industry, and for the state of Tennessee. The trucking industry is behind, working towards an updated funding formula that is good for Tennessee. We're going to evaluate what the governor has said, and we're going to take it to our members, and we're excited about the opportunity to free up some of this congestion in the state of Tennessee. So thank you, Governor.
We appreciate your business. It is worth noting that the people who make a living off of our roads and analyze whether we should be investing more to take time out of the system and take vehicle maintenance out of the system say, yeah, this is the right thing to do. The rest of us just go about our daily lives of driving where we have to, but these folks drive for a living, and they're saying we have a problem. And I think that's very worthy of note. Thank you all for coming. Again, I want to thank all mayors. These folks have real day jobs, and I appreciate you setting that aside to come. Thank you all for joining us. We will be having a media availability. Somebody point me which side. This side over here in about, give us about 5 minutes to let the room clear a little bit, and we'll have the media available here. Thank you all again. We obviously are excited about the discussion to come. Thanks so much.